friend of mine that played with the Outlaws was a fan of my bass playing from playing with Jeff Beck and a few other guitarists. And Lou had the same manager as Freddie Salem, and his manager wanted to know, do we know a bass player, and he recommended me. And Lou came down to the club and heard me with my band and asked me would I like to work with him, which was really funny. I was eager to work with him, but he's like more eager than I. It was kind of like I felt funny. He said, "Do you really want to work with me?" So I said, "Yeah." So he was like really humble. You know, he wasn't like this person. He wasn't like what I expected. You know, like someone that's like cold or you know.
So we're expecting the legend of Lou.
Yeah, the legend of Lou to come out. Right? He just came down to earth and was, and I felt very comfortable. And I told him, you know.
And that was, what year is that? That's like 1981, 80.
Yeah, it was 80. Yeah, it was 80 because it took a while to get into the next record. You know, I think I met him 7 months before. And then we started to, he started sending me tapes for the Blue Mask. So my big thing I know of Lou is Walk on the Wild Side. So I heard this big production, you know, of Wild Side with the girls and the strings and the saxophone. So then I heard this raw tape he sent me, Stark, and I said, wow, because I wasn't used to, I'm kind of spoiled in a way. I kind of like when I do tapes or people put more production, but Lou left his thing open for the musicians to put their artistry into the recording. So I was sitting there and I said, well, what am going to do with this, you know, without hearing where it's going to go. And what happened, I started getting into the lyrics and started inventing like bass parts and making it like a movie. I was making my music like a scene, you know, or more so like the song "The Gun." The lyric was so strong, and I popped up with this bass part that sounded like a person walking down the street with a holsters with the gun, and you know, and so on and so on. With pretty much Delmar, the same thing with that song. You know, I felt like we were the song called "Our House." The same kind of magic happened. We were sitting there and we were like looking at each other, and we felt like he was there. And that song especially is a very visual kind of visual song musically. You know, you can see the scene through the music. You know. And then secondly, too, which is strange, I was wondering why he wanted me to play with him, because I play a lot of varieties of music and I didn't know what to do, and I had this own private things that I do with myself for my own. So I played some harmonics and a few things, and Lou said, that's what I want. So that made it easy for me. Pretty much I was able to be myself and to be creative. I always saw Lou like John Coltrane or Miles Davis lyrically, you know, and I noticed he was always into people like Ornette Coleman and Don Cherry, and I felt that was one good reason why he had me there. So when it got to the point of, it was a little bit of a struggle to figure out what to do with Lou. So what happened, I started, I'm a big fan of visual arts, and I decided the best way to get through this is to start making the music and my contribution to his music more as making the music of colors around his to music to express each title of the song or each moment within the song to get to different areas in the song. Like if it was something about someone being shot or someone about a cry, I would do like harmonics or things like that to help express the songs.
I still want you to say it in your words again about the movie and the lyrics, because it's so clear the way you said that, you know, you listen to the lyrics is what you said,
mm-hmm.
You see it as a movie, and then you put that to music. So can you just say
oh yeah
the lyrics are so real that I see them as a movie, and then I put it.
Oh yeah, right, yeah. Well, one great thing about Lou is that the lyrics are so real and so strong that I was able to take the music, the lyrics, and put music to it to make it into a movie.
Start over.
And,
you're there, but just
yeah, that's
so you get it right.
Yeah.
So it's like, go ahead.
That's what I said earlier.
What you said was the lyrics are so real that you think of it as a movie, and then you put it to music.
Okay, yeah. The lyrics are so real that I take them and put them. It's like funny when someone actually tells you this.
You'll get it. It's all right.
You should have been taping in there, but yeah. But more so, more so, the lyrics are so real that I was able to take them and put my music around them to make it into like a movie, into a scene. And
what you're really saying to me, I won't do it too much more. It's just that the lyrics are so real that you would see it as a movie, and then you make sort of music in the movie.
And that's what I said.
Is that what you're saying?
Oh yeah. I guess that's what I was saying. Yeah. The lyrics are so much like a movie, and a scene within themselves that I was able to take my music and put it around it make it into this masterpiece.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. 'Cause that's very clear.
Yeah. Yeah. Waves of Fear was like that. That's where all the bonding happened. You know, I mean, we discovered what I would do musically from Our House, and then what was going to happen with the level we were going to go to musically was that all happened with Waves of Fear. And what happened is that first of all we spent like a couple of hours getting the most strangest and unusual sounds to express. Again, the same thing. I was trying to figure out sounds to express fear. So I didn't really use my bass as a bass. I used it as a distortion, like a wall or like trucks in like New York City. And harmonics, I was using like screams, like people screaming, like Waves of Fear, and I go, ooh, and it was like, you know, so it was like this whole thing happening. But what happened with this song, we kind of like did it in one take, 2 takes. And we all were standing there, and it was a holiday. I can't remember exactly what holiday was going on then. But we were sitting there, we looked at each other, and then Lou said, let's go out and, you know, take a break and go have some food. So we went to the restaurant, and it was so powerful what happened to get that song down. We had to take a break for that day. We all just called it. We said, let's call it and let's go home. And
Wonderful. Karen, does that work for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You may want to start it again.
Yeah, the song Waves of Fear was a really special bonding thing for me and Lou especially, because it was a little hard, and for me, I felt like a kid there trying to figure out which way to go with this. But I kept in my mind that he liked what I did with Our House, and I was using harmonics. So when we got to the song Waves of Fear, I decided to express it through like making the bass sound like Mack trucks and taxis and people screaming and more so. And my specialty was using harmonics in different directions, so I used the harmonics as screams. And for that even affected me emotionally. I mean, pretty much actually there were goosebumps on Lou's arm. Lou is a really emotional person and open, and he said, look at that, and he showed tear in his eye, you know. And you know, and I know you know Lou that way. And from there we went out to eat, and to make it short, we just realized that there's no reason to go back in there. It's too high of a moment, and let's just take it and go back the next day. And that's kind of like what happened.
Good. And then just say a really short one, like we played Waves of Fear in the studio that day, and we couldn't do anything else.
Okay.
The rest of the day.
We played Waves of Fear in the studio that day, and we couldn't do anything else afterwards. It was too powerful.
Perfect. Perfect. That's great.
That's when I got to see the other side of Lou, that he, even though he has this twisted and dark way of showing, but he's a very emotional, romantic person. There's a lot of soul and heart there. And from that song, when I saw that happen, when I heard that, it made me see even another part of him. You know, we got really close because I felt something there for me to relate to. You know, even though it was more of a struggle the first few days, personality. Not that we were not getting along, but just to find each other. You know, because Lou had to warm up to me. But more so, the song "The Day John Kennedy Died" was a special song, and that's when I became like a big fan of Lou's. And I felt like I might, in a strange way, I felt that the world should hear this guy, and I felt like I could be responsible or be helpful in helping him get to that level, you know, during that period. Our House on the Blue Mass record was a very emotional song, and then when we got to The Gun, that's when it started hitting all the musicians in the studio. We started feeling as if we wrote the lyrics. Like it was so powerful what we were putting, each musician was putting to the songs. We felt that it were our songs, and it became even more intense for us, and just as intense for Lou, you know, where we all were like at that, we were all kind of like equal with Lou at that point, you know, and we had to, you know, take a break, you know, and go outside and go for walks many times just to release, you know, and then to get back to keep going, you know. He related it to people and things he have seen, and people who live like that. The song Waves of Fear, Lou didn't really relate that song to himself personally. I really didn't know Lou's whole thing. I'm kind of naive. Sometimes I didn't know what happened or didn't happen, really. But he did talk to me about things that he have seen happen to people. And I'm sure that song is related to a lot of people that were around him during that period. They probably all saw each other, you know, whatever. September '83, we were in Italy. The song Waves of Fear, Lou kind of like wanted to get out the set a little bit because he wanted to get away from those darker kind of tunes. But we kept playing. I said, Lou, you know, let's do this. It's like really great. So we decided to do this song, Kill Your Sons. We got tear gassed. on stage that night. And I didn't know what was going on. It was, first of all, vodka bottles were flying up on the stage, and we were playing that song, and we're sitting there playing this song. And then meanwhile, we're sitting there like having flashbacks of the moment of doing a Waves of Fear at our CA studio. And at the end of the night, it was even crazier. We had to escape out of there in an ambulance, you know, to get out of there, not to be attacked. No, in Italy, people at that time, you know, probably people couldn't afford to get in. A certain amount of people can't get in. And what they do, they crash. You know, they have to let them in, you know, so the police were not letting them in. And they started to get in themselves, and that's where the tear gas came at.
I think Lou got hit on the head with a bottle or something?
Well, it came on my speaker and went over to him. And then, obviously, we had to keep playing. We just, you know, we smiled and kept playing. There's no way we could stop. If we stop, I heard in Italy, they come up on the stage and take the equipment and take you. It got to the point where I was working with Lou for so long that Lou offered me co-producing. He felt that I was kind of like being his partner throughout the period, and that I deserved to start having credit, you know. So we got to the album Mistrial, and then we went to his country house at that time, and we worked pretty intensely for a month, programming stuff, working on arrangements, and you know, being prepared for the studio, and more so with the guitars. And the idea was getting guitars and drums down first, and then add the colors around him again, but more accessible thing, but still keeping his lyrics and more where his intelligence, you know, at his, you know, the direction of his lyrics, not changing Lou, which is kind of difficult to change Lou. And what happened is that we got to the song Video Violence, which has this amazing groove, and Eddie Martinez did some amazing guitar solos. But we took a break around Christmas, and then Lou felt the song, even though what Eddie Martinez has done and other people have done, it didn't express violence, you know. So what happened? I don't know why the record company didn't put the song out, but more so everything was geared for video violence, and he did this video with Gottlieb and Cream with the Robots, which they did Rocket, you know, for Herbie Hancock video. And what happened? It became a switch of songs. No Money Down, for some, without them promoting it, No Money Down start jumping up into the top 40. And then the videos became, for Video Violence, became the video for No Money Down, Love Is Trust, you know.
I had heard that Lou said, well, I don't mind you doing a video, an MTV video, but I just don't want to be in it. And that's how the idea of the robot came about. Is that true? Or?
It probably did. It probably did, actually. Yeah, more so the robot for No Money Down. Lou didn't want to be involved with the typical MTV video, you know, scene, and he decided to get Gottlieb and Cream to make a video in his place, so he didn't have to be there and deal with it. And the video kind of like scared some people too. I don't know if Lou mentioned that to you. It kind of like, in a sad way, took away the energy of the song, you know, of Love Is Trust. You know, they got phone calls that some kids were scared from the robot.
Of course, it does fit video violence.
It does fit video violence, yeah. But still, to this day, people don't even know I work with Lou. That video pops up as the most amazing video that was done, you know, for MTV. The robots for the song No Money Down, in my opinion, even though it was like kind of banned from MTV and people couldn't understand it, it wasn't at that class of what, you know, MTV was supposed to be about. The song, the video itself, still to this day is like very powerful, and people talk about it a lot. You know, where I go, people say that, you know, people should take more chances like that, more so like REM with Religion or something like that. And I think it's at that level. A lot of those songs were very personal to him, and a lot of, you know, things I didn't even know until later. After we recorded him, he started telling me the experiences when he started discussing it with me, I started realizing why we could do 2 songs. We were able, the musicians he had around him doing the record, we could have done the record in a day, you know. But and we did it in 9 days, actually. But the songs were so emotional. It's just so much you can put out, you know, a day, you know. So that's pretty much why a lot of the tunes took a little while, and a lot of breaks because of the emotional level of the recordings and the lyrics. You know. And the musicians emotional too. You know, the musicians, the drummers weren't, and the guitarists just weren't just banging. Everyone had like Robert Quine, Waves of Fear. That's fear. The guitar part. That's like the meaning of, you know, fear. So pretty much what's going on. We all were seriously trying to paint this picture throughout the whole record. We all became like visual, like, you know. The 80s seem, to me, from listening to the past stuff, because I had to get his whole catalog. They sent me a box of, because I like to study things. I studied his whole past, and like Street Household, Eddie Velvet Underground, and my opinion of the 80s was Lou trying to express where he wants to be in a way, and where he's going, and on the other hand, sharing a lot of his personal life with the world, and letting it go. And I think that helped him. Sometimes you gotta take your clothes off, you know. You know, more so someone told me, Eric Clapton, he said you have to let yourself out completely, you know, in order to for people to come to you, or to understand where you are, or where you want to be. So that, to me, that was like Lou showing his audience and the public that I'm a new Lou, and this is what I went through, and this is where I'm going, you know. Yeah, so Twilight Reeling, again, especially for Lou and I, that album itself is like the closest record to the Blue Mask, you know, and he hasn't done anything like that for a long time. The Blue Mask, Velvet Underground kind of like thing. So
tell me why. Why sort of like the Blue Mask in a sense. Because
on this record, we all are producers all in there. You know, obviously we all are helping each other. But this record was like, it's kind of like Lou wanting to be Lou again and wanting to express himself, which is kind of like it's like in a way Lou's having a new start again, like when he did with the Blue Mask. It was like a little quiet period. He definitely had this big hit and this great thing with the New York album. And I guess he did the Magic and Lost, and at that point he just kind of like laid back for a while. And then for me to call him again, for him to call me, which is really funny too. People mention that. They say Lou wants to go back to the old roots and that period. So when we started doing the Twilight Reeling, Lou and I like started smiling at each other because we were back at Ways of Fear again in a different way. And
in what way? In a more positive way?
In a positive way, yeah. Because to me, the Twilight Reeling was kind of like him closing a period of all the things that have happened to him in his life, his personal life, whatever, and him acknowledging it and realizing that he has went to this next level, you know, with his martial arts and whatever else, and his lifestyle of living, and so and then what's really strange about the song too is when we finished the song and Lou said, "I'm not really religious," but the song came out so beautiful that Lou looked up to the sky and said, "You know, thank you, God, for this, and you know, thank you for this." And then more so that it started raining. We walked outside and it was a big storm. It was like, which was really strange, which was relating to the, you know, the whole, you know.
So in a way, it's sort of a song, and that album is really an album.
That and Riptide together. That happened that day. Yeah.
And it's all about sort of a new start for Lou.
Yeah, yeah. To me, because I was getting phone calls from people about that album in general, say, "Wow, it shows you what someone in love, how they can express." And a lot of people didn't see Lou as a romantic. His relationship with Laurie, I guess, is just opened up, met another person. Maybe I guess he had all this in him. Obviously, he's a great writer, so maybe one person makes you stay darker, one person brings the light out. I think Laurie brought the lighter part out, you know, lyrically, you know. To me, and Vernon Reed even, he called me after he heard the record, said, "Fernando, wow, you know, like Lou is such a romantic person, you know, and he must be happy. Is he happy, you know?" And the album too is to me was Lou finally having a chance to release romance. You know, I don't think he had a chance in the past. He was hinting at it, and he was always optimistic. And I think even his earlier records was in hope of this, the dream of this romance or whatever may happen to him in his future. And I think this record was a release of putting all the past away, closing all those doors. On the other hand, showing how he feels and where he wants to go. You know, I was wanting to see myself as the Velvet bass player. You know, and but every time I would do that, Lou would. I wanted to see myself in that position and how I would feel, you know, and every time I would do these things, Lou would come over and say, no, I want you to Fernandize it. So it's not like, even though the Fernandizing was something that Lou discovered, I didn't know I had it, you know, that's something that was discovered on the Lou Reed project, you know. But how I see what he wants is through, you know, something he given me, you know, through the Fernandizing, whichever you want to call that. Before then, I was working with a lot of great musicians who are great musically, like Lou is great lyrically. like John McLaughlin and Jan Hammer and Larry Young, and I was at a young age had a privilege to work with these people, and it was like my school. These people like John McLaughlin and Jeff, they never let me to be free, where you think in that kind of surrounding of music that I would be able to do what I do musically, and you would think with Lou I would be more restricted because it was rock music. But what happened is Lou wanted to feature the melodic playing and all my abilities, you know. So I must say that as far as my whole career and my musicianship was expressed through Lou's music, the simplicity of it. Because when we were recording the songs, his songs are pretty much like very simple, and he talked to me. He said, "You hear that one chord? There's a lot of notes in it. You know, you don't have to. It doesn't have to be 1,000 chords." And from there, you go inside that, and you start making. I was like kind of like the horns and the trumpets and the strings for that period, you know. And he gave me that freedom to be that, you know. Lou would tell me like many times, because sometimes I would try to fill the whole thing up, and he said, "You hear this chord? It's simple. You know, it's a lot of music in there. Just, you know, pick the right spot. You know, pick your place. You know, save it." You know. Lou lyrically, even though he's very powerful, it's very simple in a way, and he doesn't say, he's not busy, but it gets you there, and it's even now sometimes I try to figure it out, like the song "Emotion" with the hat and the cat scratching, and it's like, yeah, you know, it's like it's very clever and it's very simple. And a lot of great writers have spoken to me about, you know, Lou's writing. You know, like he writes so simple. I got in my car and cut my motorbike on and ran down the street. You know, but it's hard to write that way. People think it sounds simple, but it's not. It's very difficult. More so, he doesn't like you to overpower the lyrics, you know, and to get too complex, because he wants everything to be heard. Like a note is one note, it can enhance a lyric, you know, and bring that lyric to light, you know, and things like that. You know. Before I met Lou, I used to use the song "Wild Side" with musicians. They were wanting to play a lot and they were busy, and I said, you know, listen to this song. You know, you hear how simple it is. You hear how powerful it is. You know, and that song always became like a definition of simplicity, but with power and passion. You know, he has a very romantic and soulful way to express his lyrics, even though it's twisted and it has a dark side to it and coldness. It's very romantic. It has a lot of heart and very given. You know. It's not negative, actually. It's just he shows the dark side more clearer than the average person. Most people go there and they sneak out. Lou stays there for a while to get you in there, but he does romance you out. You know, gently. He digs it in. He wants you to get his. You know, he's not afraid. He wants to scare you, but he like ends it in gentleness. You know, he's always like that. You know, pretty much in life, he's like that. You know. Don't be mad at me, Lou. You know.